To approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, motion made by Carter, seconded by Morton. Roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Calendar?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
And Mr. Akins?
Yes. All right, vote passes 5-0. Our motion passes. Thank you, board. Next is 6.01. Audience may address the board. Do we have any green cards that were presented?
Yes, we have 4 green cards presented. Yep, absolutely. Do you want, thank you.
Please read the comments, please. Ms. Carter?
Thank you. Visitors are always welcome at our board meetings. If you wish to address the board during the audience participation portion of this meeting, please complete the form and submit to the treasurer. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes. A maximum of 30 minutes will be permitted for public participation at each meeting. No person may speak twice until all who wish to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Do you want me to read the rest, or?
That's fine, we just can't speak about
Okay. Important notes, all statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question the board members or administrators individually. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's session when they make comments that are repetitive, obscene, and/or comments that constitute a true threat. Request any individual to stop speaking and/or leave the meeting when the person does not observe reasonable decorum or is disruptive to the conduct and/or orderly progress of the meeting. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the conduct and/or orderly progress of the meeting. Call for recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with orderly conduct of the meeting as to the warrant such action. And we do have our board policy 3130 listed here on the board.
Okay, we received 5 cards tonight. Just so for people that don't know, we're going to put 3 minutes on the timer. It is the allotted time for you to speak. Please step up to that microphone when called, and I'll start at 3 minutes once you start. The first person is Valerie Harrison, and her comment was, what are the district's plans to accommodate students who are disrespectful, keeping other students from learning during class sessions?
Okay. What are your plans? I mean, we have some additional buildings. I know the enrollment has gone down. Can you accommodate those students, redirect them, and have staff for those children to be taken out of that classroom and placed into another environment where they're still can get a learning, but it's not so much overwhelming where they're disrupting, I'm gonna use the word normal, children who come to school, their parents send them to school to learn. I mean, it's disheartening when you have a child to go to school and you got one person that's disrupting, and the teacher, she's having a hard time using classroom management. So my question, what do you do, or how will you help the teachers teach the children that do or are sent to school to learn. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's not perfect in the classrooms, but it needs to be addressed. Do I sit down or you gonna sit down?
Hold on. Thank you for your question. We're actually going to have someone follow up with you on that. We do have, in the various schools, social emotional learning staff in each building that do work to address that particular issue. They do take students out of the classroom to speak with them, to help address them and redirect their emotions so they can go back into the classroom. But we can have someone follow up with you about that specific issue that you are speaking of, though.
Am I able to respond back?
Sure.
So that's nice and all good that you're saying to take the child out, counsel them, and send them back in the classroom. That doesn't always work. I don't think you all still have special classroom where you have like ED, where the child is in a special ed classroom, where that classroom is for that particular child. I don't know if there are new plans for that, or just to come out and say, okay, Johnny, if you just calm down, you can go back in the classroom. In the back of that child's mind, he says, I mean, he's manipulated you. One, he's taking a break if you think about it. And then he goes back in and he does the same thing. The children who are trying to learn, they're so tuned out or zoned out or numb to Johnny or Sally that there's still a problem, an underlying problem.
Okay.
My 3 minutes up, okay.
Okay. Well, again, for that particular issue, we'll have someone follow up with you to get more specifics on what they would do to address those more difficult situations. Next question?
Yes. Next question is from Stacy Tench. She had a couple of things. I just want to remind the audience that we cannot talk about direct personnel or positions in the district, but we can talk about their concerns about the district as long as it's not directed towards certain personnel.
Okay, well, with the superintendent's inability to successfully run the district, her dissertations of communication to parents, community, and staff that net no results in what she's trying to say, the wasteful spending, the blatant and continuous nepotism hires, I am requesting the board.
Excuse me, the question has to be directly toward the situation, not a personnel, please.
I'm requesting her removal, her resignation, or you to place her on leave until you can legally remove her.
Okay, but you're,
That's it.
okay.
That was my comment. It's not a question. It was
Okay.
just a comment.
All right, thank you. Thanks for your time. Next question?
Yes. I'm sorry, I always get this name. Marguerite Manelsky, and her comment is clarification on the recent emails.
In your emails on Tuesday the 27th, you had mentioned that you will communicate clearly and proactively on any closures as you want to provide information as early as possible. But your emails also do not show that. In your email from Tuesday evening, you mentioned the expected morning temperature to be a -3, and further in the email, you stated that that would be one reason to close the district. Why was that decision not made that evening? You also mentioned that you discussed the responsibility of keeping students and staff safe when conditions allow. But per your own email, on Wednesday, the building was not even approved for students or staff to be in. So again, why was the parents not notified the night before? So because we continue to see you state that you will do one thing and you continue to do another, including laugh while people are speaking, I am now requesting that this board put you on leave or for you to step down.
All right. Thank you. Next question?
Yep. Our next card is Jennifer H., and it's high school calamity days and conditions.
So I guess you could say my question and my comment is, I have 2 children in the district, one at the high school, one at Columbus. My daughter has been in school 4 days since December the 18th. And now we have an issue with calamity days being gone. Not only is it the temperatures, but the fact that the school can't pass a fire inspection, along with the fact that now we are running into issues that the building is being ran by generators or let me say this, when you drive by, you can smell the diesel fuel. So I can only imagine what it smells like inside of that school. I can only imagine the fact that now that the heat has not been run properly, we have ice blocks. I'm sure it's ice somewhere in that school. So once the temperatures go back down, now we have a problem with water. Now we go into more mold because there's mold already in the high school. And I don't want to hear about what someone in the past has done. What are we going to do now? Because these problems didn't just start now. It's like you have a car and say, I'm going to get a new car in 6 months, but I'm not going to take care of this one that I'm driving because I'm getting a new one. It doesn't make sense. Now we're going into children's health, possibly being affected, going into a school that's not even safe. We can't do synchronous learning. And I did my research back in 2021, when the kids were supposed to go back for hybrid learning, and the plan was not properly in place then. Here we are again, the kids can't go and do synchronous learning because the plan was not submitted by the school. There was no plan, and there has to be a plan submitted to be able to have the synchronous learning. So yes, you want the kids to be in person, of course, I'm all for in person, but we're not gonna act like that's the main thing. The due diligence was not done. So there was not a plan put to be able to do the synchronous learning. Because asynchronous does not even go toward anything. So what is the plan moving forward? Because I will not send my child into a school that is not safe for her health. Because if she can't be safe for her health, she can't even learn properly just being there regularly. So I want to know what the plan is moving forward, because now these kids have been out of school for, it's ridiculous at this point.
Okay. Well, to answer your question exactly, we do have our Executive Director of Operations that will speak to that later on in tonight's presentation. We'll speak to the status of the buildings and what's going on with the high school and exactly that topic with the generators and the fire alarms and all of that. So we can address that later on in the meeting, if that's okay.
I hope so, because at this point, I'm trying to figure out who's making these decisions, who's being held accountable for this, because these decisions are terrible, are terrible.
Thank you.
And the last card I have is from Poppy Parish. It is regarding legal counsel, a question about who they are, how they were selected, if they're able to attend board meetings to answer questions that the board can't answer, how much has been spent on legal counsel in 2025, and financial outcome and impact on the budget.
Thank you.
I can address the last part if that's okay, just to save us time. If you put in a records request, I can easily give you how much we spent legally. I don't have the number in front of me right now, but I can obviously give you that number and let you know that part.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And you basically asked my questions. I do believe those are questions that can be answered. The only caveat I have on that is who is the legal counsel representing? Are they representing the board? Are they representing the schools? Are they representing the superintendent? That is in addition to how they were selected, who they are. And in boards that I've attended and been a part of, our legal counsel had been there to answer questions that we as board members could not answer. And I don't understand, the makeup or how this board is being run, because I've seen so often that you can't answer it for legal reasons and things like that. But if legal counsel was there, they could help us understand why those questions couldn't be answered.
I'm sorry. In the operational agenda, the first one that they had in January, in there it lists all of the attorneys that work for the Board of Education. When someone is working within the role of their job, then of course the attorney, covers that in the scope of their work. But in terms of who's listed in the operational agenda, those are attorneys for the district, not individual administrators or anyone of that nature. But you will see they're different ones. Some handle the real estate. Some might handle discipline. Some might handle special education. And that's why you see different firms and things of that nature that are in there.
Who does the selection of these legal counsel?
They are presented to the Board of Education.
So the Board of Education selects the legal
They're recommended to the Board of Education. For example, I know like finance. I don't know how they would choose a finance person
The
or.
one that's on the agenda tonight that was excellently missed, Tom Conzer, he does all the Board of Revision appeals for the district. So when the county budget commissioner values a property, and then that property contests and says it should be at a lower amount, he's the one that kind of fights for the district and makes sure we're getting a fair value for that property. So he does that, specifically that, nothing else for the district. I brought another one in that I had worked with prior, and I presented it to the board president at the time in December to come to the board at the organization meeting, and that one does strictly workers' comp, because I saw that we had a need for not a better person, but a different firm to look at our workers' comp claims.
Okay, so you saw a better need, and did that go before the board as well?
Yes, that got approved at the last organizational meeting. The board has to approve it. Those two I personally recommended because from my experience working with them, they were the best in their fields that I could tell.
Okay, and you will be providing the budget numbers in regards to how much is spent for legal counsel and where possible the outcomes?
Just doing the public records.
Good,
Yeah.
bad, and different?
Yeah, if you just send me a public records request, I could do what we spend. It's kind of hard to determine outcome savings. For Board of
They might not be
Revision,
savings, they're
for the Board of Revision, I could maybe come up with something. I can show what we've, the appeal, how much, dollars we've won from our legal counsel, but, in other cases, it's kind of hard to determine.
I would like to suggest that might be something that you take a look at, because we may be losing money also in regards to different legal actions and what have you that have been that may be coming up. I don't know, but I think as a community and as a board, you should want to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have provided legal expenditures, the expenses we've had in the past to the board. It's hard to determine the savings or the outcome of what we've saved on that. I mean, personally, I'd rather it be where we don't have to spend anything on legal counsel because, people accept what the Board of Commissions value the property as, and then we don't have to spend money, fighting our position.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking more along those, not necessarily on real estate and what have you, but more as far as lawsuits are concerned and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Because quite frankly, with everything that's going on with the renovations and new build, I would think that we would have some lawsuits possibly against Panzica and others because of what is going on here. Just my purview. I don't know that to be true, but that's something that as a board, I would suggest you take a look at as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, thanks. All right. Do we have any more questions?
That was all I was submitted.
Okay. Moving on to the superintendent's report. We have 7.01, review of the proposed 2026-2027 school calendar. Do you have any comments on that, Dr. Johnson?
There is not a need for a vote tonight. This bylaw has to be posted. The calendar has been presented to the unions, and then they have that opportunity to provide some feedback and recommendations before it comes before you. We are in the process of trying to prepare for the summer of 2027, so that you will see that things are pushed back a week, so that there is an allotment for that spring, right before the staff leave in 2027. There might need to be some time for some, packing and things of that nature. And then that 27, 28 calendar will be coming to you probably within the next couple of board meetings to take a look at. And the goal is to try to get it pushed back an additional week before school starts as well.
Okay, thank you for that information. Next up is the Treasurer's Report, 8.01. I'll turn this over to Mr. Frederick.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, board members. Tonight, 8.01, I asked Red Tree, who is our investment firm, to put together just a one-pager to kind of show us our monthly investment report. Gary, can you put that up for me? We got a lot of questions about our interest on this, our bond money, and just how we're making all this money. So it kind of shows a little breakdown of where we have our money invested, and just how much we're earning at a monthly income. And then the third column is your fiscal year to date, so that is from July 1st until December 31st. So you can see that in 6 months, we have earned $2,417,881.82. The top line is our general fund, so we do have some general fund money that we are able to invest at this point. So that is where that is, and the reason that's kind of low is we just kind of opened that account within the last couple of months. So hopefully that number will continue to grow. And then you can see our note proceeds, bond proceeds, and debt proceeds, and how we have that. If you look at our total investments, if you compare this, because I will present this every month, you'll kind of see that as we're spending money to build the buildings, that first column will slowly dwindle down because we got to pay our contractors as they're doing construction for these buildings. And then you look at your average maturity, you'll see nothing's been invested, nor the farthest out is 1.88 years, because that's what we're planning the life of the project. Obviously with the high school, we know exactly how much money we can have that drawdown schedule. We can invest a little bit further out. Typically, the further out you invest, the higher the yield. So we're trying to maximize the amount of money that we can earn on the money that we receive from the community. And then for 8.02, we did receive some gifts and donations. Isaac Kish donated $100 in school supplies for Glendale. Vivian Rowlands donated $108 in plaques for the Everett Hurd Girls Basketball Invitational. And Bedford Rotary Club donated $250 for the Bedford High School Choir. And that is it for my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, for 8.01 Treasury Report. Let's see, this is for information only. For 8.02, gifts and donations. Do we have a motion to approve the gifts and donations as presented?
Motion to approve gifts and donations as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Carter, seconded by Boynton. Roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Callender?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. Next is new business, old business. 9.01, approval of legal representation, Law Office of Thomas A. Kanzer, LLC. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve legal representation from the law offices of Thomas Kanzer, LLC for calendar 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Carter, seconded by Boynton. Roll call.
Yes. Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Callender?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. Next is 9.02. This is a public notice for the Bedford Board of Education Records Retention Meeting. This is for information only. We're going to have a records retention meeting on the first meeting in February, Thursday, February 5th at 5:30 p.m. right here at Heskett Middle School. It'll be just before our regular work session meeting. And again, this is for information only. And then also for new business, I would ask if our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Snyder, can come down to just speak on the status of our buildings.
Mr. President, while he's coming down, could we elaborate a little bit on the record retention meeting?
Sure.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So there are public records that we have, and there's a schedule for them. For example, a lot of my purchase orders, check vouchers, and stuff like that, they have a life of 10 years, and after that, we are allowed legally to shred them, destroy them. But prior to do that, I have to have board approval, and I have to send them off to the Ohio Historical Records Commission and get their approval. So this is, that is what's going to be happening. We're going to have records that we can destroy legally. They've gone past the years that we're required to keep them. But in order to do that, I need the board to allow me to present it to the Ohio Historical Commission.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Dr. Snyder?
Good evening, Board President, Vice President, and board members. So I'd like to share some information regarding the facilities and operations, and of course, answer any questions that you have. Clearly, we have had a number of significant obstacles and frustrations related to the operations of the buildings, specifically the high school. So as you know, there were a series of power outages that occurred at the school. There were, at the beginning, partial power outages, and those grew in scope. So we had called CEI on each of the occasions, and they have been very responsive, very helpful. There were some transformers that they own that were blown, some fuses that they own and operate that were blown. Some of them were fixed multiple times. As this continued to occur, the last time that the power went out, they had stated that they would not turn the Phase 3 power back on until we identified an issue within the building that would explain why this had been occurring. That was, I believe, last Wednesday, maybe late in the evening on Wednesday. So we have Phase 1 and Phase 3 power. After some conversations and some testing, they had decided that they would turn the Phase 1 on. So those are our outlets and our lights and our server room, which runs the technology for the district. So that left us without Phase 3 power. So that was when we procured the generator that's currently running Phase 3. Those are the mechanical operations, the boilers, the freezers, a couple of the other major items, the air handlers, so on and so on. So that has been operating since Thursday. At that time, also knowing that there was risk with Phase 3, with them not turning it on, we tried to get and procure it as quickly as we could diesel heaters that have been moved in different areas of the building to help ensure that nothing would freeze. So from then until now, we have gone through a series of different diagnostics. We've had CEI on site, Panzica, Contemporary Electric, Siemens, who does some of our control panels. We have had K Company. We continue to have a number of different vendors there, Paladin as well, to diagnose a number of issues. So when the building was most recently re-energized, and then when Phase 3 was starting to be provided by the generator, there was damage caused from the most recent power outage. That included the fire alarm system, also included air handlers that operate in the south house. So there are 3 air handlers. So we have been working to get those operational and obviously fix the underlying electrical issue. The electrical issues I could talk about as much as you like, but not to get too far into the weeds with it. It's an extremely old system, as you would imagine. It's actually much older than people may anticipate. And it's a really complicated set of diagnostics that take place to try and understand what is going where in the building and how those things impact each other. And it depends on what's on and then what's being called for. For example, some motors could be on or the breaker could be on, but they might not be called on. depending on if freezer doors are open or closed, or if people are coming in and out of the building. So that as things are called on or off at different times, it has a different impact on the system. So that has been very complicated set of diagnostics. And Contemporary Electric has multiple electrical engineers as part of their company. They came up with a plan to remedy that situation as best as we can. It'll never be perfect, and we can never guarantee that there won't be any issues, but it will reduce to the greatest degree possible, we believe. We walked the building on Tuesday. There were about 15 individuals, the fire department, the building commissioner, a number of those contractors that I referenced, and we agreed on that plan, and we also agreed on the things that would need to take place for us to reopen the building. So that has been something that we've worked with tremendous sets of urgency to get done as soon as possible. And I completely understand and acknowledge and share the frustration, and really the only thing I can say about that is there's no shortcut for us to get to where we need to be. It's simply continued diagnostics and repairs, and trying to figure out what it is that's going to get us to that place that we need to be. I heard a reference to Panzica, and they had brought it up that sometimes when there are power outages near where they are doing construction, people think or assume that the work that they're doing for the construction has somehow impacted this particular power outage. That is not the case. The symptoms that we have experienced have nothing to do with what's happening across the street. CEI has not intimated that in any way. They don't believe that it's connected whatsoever. It is isolated to within the high school only. Panzica, their work across the street has had nothing to do with that. They have been extremely helpful and responsive in trying to coordinate resources to address the issues. So the current status is that we have tested the fire alarm a couple of times. It is not currently at the state that it needs to be. We've worked on it throughout the course of the day with a couple different vendors, as I had said. We are planning to retest the system with the fire chief in the morning. We are optimistic that we made the necessary repairs to the fire system today. We also are currently, as we speak, finishing the installation of a new motor to one of our air handlers, which is necessary to get the temperatures to where they would need to be. So I am also cautiously optimistic that that will be installed and will be effective in raising the temperatures to 65, 70 plus degrees, whatever that would need to be. In reference to the heaters, we did discuss that with the building commissioner and the fire chief. We have no plans to do this, but they actually stated that we could operate the building with students and staff there with those generators as they are currently situated. They said as long as you have carbon monoxide testing, that is potentially an appropriate supplemental heat source. We do not anticipate doing that. We are, as I had said, moving as quickly as we can to make the repairs to the air handlers and firing up the boilers to bring the temperatures back up. But I know that there's concern with diesel fumes. I understand that. I acknowledge that. That's certainly something that needs to be accounted for and addressed. We do not plan to have staff or students there while they are running, but that is something that organizations sometimes do with the requisite testing. Are there any specific questions I can try and talk through?
Board, is there any questions at all? Does anyone have regarding this situation?
So we are saying that school's not ready tomorrow to,
That's correct. The high school will not be ready. for
Just the
tomorrow.
high school?
okay, thank you.
And we are doing the diagnostics tomorrow to,
Testing the fire alarm system with the fire department again tomorrow. Yes.
Oh, we actually do have a plan that we're going to be discussing after this meeting in executive session. We haven't had it to present it yet because we do have to discuss it and kind of go talk back and forth on it. Yes, we fully understand.
you won't be working from home.
Mhm.
We do have a plan. We are going to be talking about it in an executive session.
Yes.
And just because we discuss it, we still have to talk to our BEA representative because we have to include any MOUs have to be done with BEA, and BEA has to vote on these plans. So we just cannot. First of all, it has not been a month ago because we were out for Christmas break December 19th. But when we came back, we are not in control of the weather. And we still have to, and you will be surprised the things that are in the contract that we have to follow. And it has to be approved, our plan has to be approved by BEA. And as soon as we talk about it tonight and get it approved, then we can offer online.
Mm-hmm.
We can. It is a lot in this, and I suggest that you read the BEA contract because we can make a decision and say, hey, we want the schools, we want them to have their computers today. Unless it's agreed upon by BEA, it does not happen. You will read the contract.
Yes. That's, excuse me, we already had time for audience participation. The issue is that this is the first meeting we've had since the first meeting of the year. The building has been closed because of weather issues for the majority of this month. We will be discussing a plan going forward after this meeting. That is not true. This building has had issues as well. Either way, we've passed that section, so we're going to move on right now. Because we have to discuss it first to see what is viable and what can we do. We're discussing plans, and then we will share those plans with the community. Huh? Well, anyway. All right, moving on. The next section is... Okay. The next section is moving on to executive session. Do we have a motion to move into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session. Do you have your? Sorry, I'm trying to get it to come. It's
I can do it.
delayed.
Do you have yours, Mike?
Motion to go to executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of any real, personal, or other property interest, to discuss the board's legal counsel of disputes involving the board that are of the subject of imminent court actions.
Second.
Motion made by Carter, seconded by Boynton. Roll call, please.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Mr. Callender?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. We will move into an executive session. At this point, we will be discussing. We will not be voting on anything when we do come out of executive session, so that concludes tonight's meeting. Thank you for coming out tonight.